The public can also access this meeting via WebEx technology. The Burlington, and the number to access is, the meeting number is 2338-617-0758, and the meeting password is Tuesday. The school committee will hear public comments in person and virtually. Meetings are also broadcast live on BCAT, Burlington Cable Access TV, and video and audio recordings are being made. This meeting of the Burlington School Committee is being held in person at the school committee room in the Burlington Public Schools central office. Members of the public are welcome to attend in person. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. If you are participating remotely, please identify yourself by typing your name on the screen in advance and verbally once you are identified to speak. We request you please turn on your camera, and comments and statements are limited to 3 minutes. Now we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Burlington School Department Equity Statement. Educational equity means that every child belongs and receives whatever support they need to develop their full academic, emotional, and social potential, to learn and thrive every day. This begins with kindness and valuing the humanity of every individual. Before we move on, I know that the community had a big loss this year. Dr. Conti, if you would please make a comment about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to take a minute and a moment of silence to honor Don Tachi. He was a science teacher here at Burlington High School, I think over 3 decades. I didn't have the honor of working with him. He had retired before my arrival, but I've heard nothing but just incredible things from some of his colleagues who are still teaching here, from former students. Rick Parker from the Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce even commented over the weekend. And what everyone said is Don came from sort of an era of big personalities, and he was a huge personality. He was a Vietnam veteran. I know he did 2 tours. He was a Navy SEAL, and he used to take students to Jamaica and teach them how to scuba dive. And he always bragged that he never lost any or took any extra kids back with him, so that was a good thing. He's in the Massachusetts Swim Coaches Hall of Fame. He coached swimming for us here, and I know he was a BEA board member for many years. And I think just a true, like I said, just a big personality. Dr. Gould wrote some things about him for the rest of the staff. He used to be a prankster. I think he used to rearrange her classroom furniture, and when she wasn't in there, he wore a tux to the prom every year and taught the kids how to dance, and just, again, came from a different time when schools were run a little bit differently and more locally. And again, I just think he was, we always say, you know, this person had a huge influence, but Mr. Tachi was clearly someone who I heard of even when he wasn't here. His presence was still felt. So I just want to send our condolences out, our gratitude to all of his efforts here, and our condolences to his family. And if we could take just a moment of silence to honor him and his service to Burlington and to the country. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Monaco.
Unlike Eric, I did know Don Tachi. My classroom was across the hall from his, and he was just the best guy on the planet. There is there is no way that you could say enough about what a great guy he was. And he was a swim coach for my kids, and he was a personal friend, and he's just gone way too soon. We'll miss you, Don.
Thank you. So we'll move on now to the approval of the warrant. If I could have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Marianne Fabry, the secretary, is here online taking minutes, so we'll try to keep people up to date on who's making motions and seconding them. So thank you. Let's see. This is a warrant, but we're all in person, so we don't need. No. Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. That's 4-0-0. Thank you. And we're also looking for a motion for the approval of the meeting minutes from February 13th.
So moved.
Second.
All right, take your pick, Mary Ann. We got a couple of those.
Jeremy, give it.
any-
Jeremy seconded it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? And the chair votes aye. That's 4-0-0. Thank you. So next is public participation. Is there anyone in the room who has any comments? No? Is there anyone online who would like to speak? I don't see anyone. So we will move on. The next topic is our student report. I saw Mr. Shannon this week, and he said he was going to try to send a report. He's been really, really busy, I know. Dr. Conti, do you have a report?
No, Madam Chair,
No.
but he might have sent it. I just haven't had a chance to go through it. So I will
Okay.
check with Matt to make sure we get a report next time.
Okay, excellent. We miss him. We missed you, Matt, when you're not here. All right. Are there any subcommittees reports tonight from anything since our last meeting? Well, the policy subcommittee did meet, has met, but we're going to report on that later. We discussed the social media policy and have it ready for the second reading. So we'll talk about that later on the agenda. And Mr. Moran, nice to have you here with us. Is there any report from Ways and Means tonight?
I do not have a report tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Are there other announcements? Yep.
On behalf of the Rec Commission, the Fields and Parks Master Plan is up and out and available to March 22nd for comment if you'd like to make comments on what you'd like to see in fields and parks in town.
Okay, and how do people access that?
There's through the Burlington Rep website, and then there's another web link. I'll try to get it out, the flyer out with the stuff that comes up for the meeting.
Okay.
Madam
you.
Chair, I know it's
Yes.
not standard, but may I ask Mr. Brooks a question?
Sure.
Ms. Brooks, there was also, or Bob, there was another study done as well a couple years ago with Park and Rec, but those were mostly for school-related fields, and this study is for non-school-related fields?
That's correct.
Is
So Overlook Park, the renovation of Overlook Park, and then other projects they have going on in town.
All right.
Yep.
So I'll have to remember to make that distinction because we have a project that we're going to be talking about later that resulted from a field study. That was from the earlier field study that had to do with school-related fields. Okay.
Okay. So any other announcements that people have? I have a couple of announcements. First of all, I wanted to give a big shout out to our art students and our art teachers. We had a number of students with art pieces up at the Lex Arts Center, which is a gallery in Lexington. Every year they have a high school exhibit. So Burlington was exhibiting along with a couple of other high schools, and I went to see it, and we have such a range of artwork that our students are learning here, such real talent that we have. And I also noticed there were a number of students in the graphic arts program that are putting together potential designs for the new Pigs on Parade that's the Sculpture Park is working on. And so hopefully one of those that I saw will be chosen for that. So I want to thank all of our art teachers. We have an amazing art department here and congratulate all the students who had their artwork exhibited in Lexington for I think it's about a month, and I think it's over now. I also I know we've had a number of really amazing seasonal issues and individual talents in our sports this season. And I don't know that we did this at the end of the fall season, but I did. There were so many I wanted to just make a quick report, and Mr. Hart has given me some of the details. So the girls' ice hockey has shattered expectations. They've gone 17-1-2. Is securing the best record in the program for girls ice hockey. They're entering the MIAA Division II state tournament as the number 3 seed, and they face Medway at home on Wednesday. That's tomorrow at 6:10. The boys basketball captain, Cedric Rodriguez, is now not only have more than 1,000 points, but he is now the Burlington's all-time leading scorer. So congratulations to Cedric. His current running total is over 1,250 points. The boys are seeded number 12 in the Division II MIAA boys basketball tournament, and the boys will be home for a big, it's round of 32 tournament game this Friday at 6:30. The girls gymnastics placed second in the Middlesex League. Ava Schenk Davis won the state championship in bars and placed in the floor and beam. And so she's also going to Cornell, my alma mater, and she's going to be doing gymnastics there. They've recruited her, so that's exciting. The boys ice hockey team is also qualified for the MIAA Division I state hockey tournament. They're seeded 25, and they're going to Hingham on Thursday at 6 p.m. Red Devil wrestler, let's see, the rest of them are really amazing individuals. Shay Woodbury, congratulations on breaking the school's 100 backstroke record and qualifying for the state tournament. The Red Devil Wrestling sent two wrestlers to the MIAA state tournament, Ian Larson and Tyler Vadnais, and I hope I pronounced that right. The girls' tracks, our senior Charlize Collins won the Division III state championship in the long jump, and Hope Hannafin won the Division III state championship in the 600 meter. In the boys' track, Colin Irvin placed second in the 600 meter, and Ryan Brooks placed second and broke the school long jump record. So there's an awful lot of congratulations to go around, and I'm delighted. I hope everyone had a great season and enjoy the end tournament. So on to spring season soon. So now, Dr. Conti, I will pass on the agenda to you for our learning, equity, and thriving.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're going to start with our first reading of our limited school choice for next year. And it came to my mind that I should probably review school choice. We've been doing it for so long that I just need to spend some time with it. So the state allows students to attend public school districts that are outside of their residential community if the school committee of that receiving community votes to accept school choice. But the way it's worded is interesting, where the state basically said school choice exists, so what school committees need to do is then opt out of the school choice program. Many communities vote to opt out of the school choice program, which means that students from outside of the district can't attend. We sort of take an in-between step as we do a limited school choice. So what I'm going to be asking the school committee to do, which is what we've done for many years, is to opt out of the school choice program in grades kindergarten through 8, but opt in to the school choice program on a limited basis for grades 9, 10, 11, and 12. So what we've done historically is ask for 10 school choice spots in grade 9, 5 in grade 10, 5 in grade 11, and 5 in grade 12. This gives us some flexibility. Some of our high school students and families might leave, and it allows us to give them the opportunity to finish up their diploma at Burlington High School. You also know by contract our teachers can take their children here, so if the children end up attending Burlington High School, we recoup a percentage of state funding back into the district. Where does the school choice dollars go? The revenue goes into the revolving account that's entitled School Choice, and you get that a monthly report every year. And as that revenue comes in, it doesn't need to be reappropriated by town meeting. The school committee has the ability to spend that money out of the revolving account for various school services. We don't use that money for any operating expenses because it's variable. We may fill the spots, we may not fill the spots, but we usually use the school choice money for a contracted service or something that we need to, that's unexpected that we can make up, that's a school-related expense. Robotics team might need a school bus to go somewhere. School choice is a good source of funding for something like that. So that's really the history behind school choice. This is a first reading, and I'll certainly answer any questions about school choice. Like I said, it's been in place for, I guess, around 15 years now. And the second reading also will be accompanied by a public hearing. So we'll have to advertise a public hearing. We'll open a public hearing, have a conversation about school choice at the next meeting, and then close the public hearing, and then school choice will be active. It's done by a lottery, so the central office has nothing to do with it. It's really run out of the high school office. And if we have more applicants than we have numbers, let's say we have 50 freshmen who want to apply, then the high school would do sort of a random selection. We're not selecting kids for school choice. We're just randomly assigning them if there's a spot open. If we only have 3 families who are interested and we have 10 spots, then obviously all 3 would enter into the program. So it's been something that's been successful for us. The point of it is, if you have room, which we do have in this building, we're not adding a teacher, we're not adding heat, lights, the expense of the class is already running. We're just allowing a student to occupy that space. Once a child is accepted into the school choice program, so say there's a child that's accepted as a freshman, then that child is considered a Burlington student for all intents and purposes through graduation. So they don't have to reapply for school choice every year. So obviously, I'm going to ask, let me read the official sort of motion, is again, Principal Sullivan is recommending for next year, we continue to offer limited school choice by admitting non-Burlington resident students for a maximum of 10 students in grade 9, 5 in grade 10, 5 in grade 11, and 5 students in grade 12. If only the high school is participating in school choice, then the requirement is for the community to formally omit school choice for grades K through 8. Again, you're going to be saying we're not participating in school choice grades K through 8 for the 24-25 school year with a public hearing vote, which will be again the next meeting, as this is a first reading. So again, I'll answer any questions. I don't require a vote this evening, but this is something that we've participated in for quite a while.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions about the program? Okay, Ms. Monaco?
So the most, like, say you've got 10 freshmen, and the following year, you get, you have 10 freshmen. The following year, you keep the 10 freshmen, you get 5 sophomores. The following year, you get 5 juniors, and then 5 seniors. So the most that you could have at one time in, say, the senior class would be 10, 25? Okay.
And my question, do we typically have 50 applicants or 5 applicants, or does it vary a lot from year to year?
Varies a lot from year to year. I think where I've seen school choice, in a sense, not working well is when you have, if you potentially have a very high-performing school district next to a low-performing school district or something like that. Metro West school districts are very popular. People are very loyal to their communities. So it's, people aren't fleeing any of the districts around us. So it's not, so Martha, we never have had 50.
Yeah.
I think it's almost been a tool that we've been able to utilize for really specific and specialized situations. So it's been helpful for us.
Great, okay. All right, before we move to the next thing, I actually got a last-minute email from Mr. Shannon, our student rep, who sent us a report. So I would like to go back to the student report and give his report. He says, hello, and I'm super sorry I haven't been able to be present. Life has been super hectic as senior year comes to a close. Here's a quick update of student activities. Students from both MSMS and BHS will be presenting National History Day projects in the regional competition this weekend. The theme for this year's contest is Turning Points in History. Burlington's DECA is sending a large group of students to the state conference next week, held at the Prudential Center. Hope to see them succeed. Burlington girls ice hockey had a historic season, and we are playing in the MIAA tournament tomorrow at 6:10. The game is home, and it would be amazing to see support. On that note, congrats from Mr. Shannon, from Matt, to all winter sport athletes, wishing all luck in spring sports, which start March 18th. Burlington's chapter of the National Honor Society is inducting new members on Thursday this week. Individuals will continue to thrive and support the ongoing Cambridge Street Closet Service project. The musical Shrek is beginning rehearsal, and student actors cannot wait to put on a show in the next few months. And we're certainly looking forward to their little preview that we usually get. Nearing the midpoint of quarter 3, students at all schools are continuing to put in great effort. Thank you so much again, Matt. So thank you, Matt, for sending this message, even though you weren't able to make it tonight. All right, and Dr. Conti, are you ready for us to go back to your, we're up to the Assistant Superintendent's report. So Dr. Chen, it's up to you.
So Madam Chair, I am more than ready.
Okay.
Oh, I get it now. It's a joke. All right. Sorry, it took me a little while. Just wanted to give you a couple of updates. I usually give a Journey to Cares that happens once a month, so this is just an update of what's been occurring. A reminder that tomorrow is Burlington's big birthday. From 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., please be sure to stop by Grandview because we have over 100 student submissions to the town clerk's office that was submitted to them before February break. And a special thank you to Amy Warfield for her inspiration, coordination of this fun, civic-minded initiative in which folks will be able to pick from one student of an I voted sticker. Also, another reminder for any 4th and grade 5th parent that on Thursday it is Amy Doughty, our nurse leader Barbara Conley, and we will be hosting the puberty lesson of what the puberty lessons are going to look like for family health, and that will be from 6 to 8 p.m. at Francis Wyman. Additionally, Matt had shared with us that in the BHS auditorium from 6:30 to 8, we will be having the National Honors Society induction ceremony. And please mark this on your calendar as this is going to be very exciting. I want everyone to please hold April 8th from 2:30 to 4 p.m. There's going to be an eclipse event at the Senior Center that we're helping to host, and this is going to be very exciting. So we hope to see as many of you there as possible. Wendy Pavlicek and Sean Musselman will be there to make sure that we get to see the eclipse event and be prepared for it. Just wanted to share with you that the math review that's K through 12 or pre-K through 12 has been going extremely well. We have been analyzing the data to look at different pathways to ensure that there's greater equity. The conversations are occurring about Algebra 1 and the middle school, and also that Kateri Thunder, and her name is Dr. Thunder, like the thunder, she actually will be coming here on March 11th and 12th to observe some of our classrooms. Been speaking to a lot of the math specialists, a lot of the principals, and have sent that form out just to see what particular classrooms that she would like to take a look at. That's going to then, all the data that she's collected from us, she's then going to finalize a report to give us a huge math review of our curriculum, instruction, and our assessment to see areas of our growth and areas in which we're doing extremely well. And we should be getting a report sometime in late June, early July, and that's exciting. The other thing that's been going on that we're really getting ready for is Dr. Conti and I, we've spoken about it. It's been in my Journey to Cares, but just wanted to highlight this point is that we're working with a lady. Her name is Dr. Gail Lovett. She is a professor from the University of Virginia. She is, she is a professor there. She has worked with several districts in the state of Virginia and also in Massachusetts when it comes to curriculum review. And so that is another curriculum review that we're going to be putting on forth that we wanted an outside consultant to give us who has done these curriculum reviews across the nation. And she's actually going to be coming April 22nd to 26th. And this is going to be very exciting for us because I really, Dr. Conti and I, and also a lot of the administrators, we want to see like where are areas of growth and what are we doing extremely well. And in both of these reviews, we have worked to ensure that the Director of English Learner Education, as well as Special Education, Alice Buchaman, Christina Ciccolini, Bonnie Nichols, that they know that we're having this review. So they've given us a lot of information of particular special education classrooms for us to take a look at. Because, again, we just really want to have a very clear overview on what we're doing well and areas to grow. And I think that this is only going to help us. And this is, to me, very, very exciting. The other thing is you guys have received the executive summary on the professional development. And what we're hearing very loudly and clearly from our teachers is that they need time to collaborate. Okay, so the way the instructional team is looking at PD, and we've begun the discussions based on the feedback, is we're going to be taking a hard look at Tier 1, effective Tier 1 instruction next year. But we're also going to be designing PD to ensure that teachers are going to have the opportunity to work at their schools and also with their department heads to take the learnings that they have learned and to be able to implement it well. We're also taking another look at, we've just begun discussions on offering voluntary online, because that was also another comment that we had received, online like professional developments that are kind of like more quick hits that can be done at your own time and leisure. But again, let me say this again, it's voluntary, but it helps to address some of the quit hits that we had. Like, for instance, I'd like to learn a little bit more about AI. I'd like to learn a little bit more about English learners and how best to make their instruction more effective. So we're hoping to offer, Tier 1's going to be our basis for all next year, for everyone. But then we also hope to gear it as well, too, for departments. So it's going to be very department specific. And then our other line is to provide people access to even more professional development done at the leisure of their own home voluntarily. And it's going to be done online. And we will have people also hosting that as well, too. So that's the update. Are there any questions? And also want to really give a big shout out to thank you to our police department, Dr. Purchase, and also our fire department. They've been working with Dr. Conti and me and doing a lot of, with our safety and wellness and doing a lot of some tabletop exercises and following the standard protocol. So they've done an outstanding job of providing us with professional development on that.
Dr. Conti, did you?
No, that would
wanna
be the
add?
one thing I wanted to add, and Dr. Chen should add herself to that list as well, but Captain Hannafin and then our SROs, Patrick Lyons, Dominic Colicchio, Vito Costa, ran tabletop exercises this morning with all of our administrators, the assistant principals, and actually all of our secretaries of all of the buildings. So went through our standard response protocol and went through some scenarios. So one of the things we discussed potentially moving forward is one of the essential pieces in all of our response is communication, and maybe trying some practice communication with families using our tools, because the first reaction for all families is to sort of come to the site and for people needing to get information, and if we can have people go through a process where they sort of receive the information and know they're going to get regular updates. We're going to talk about how to do it. I don't want anyone to get upset by it, but it might be something that we can practice in a way where people are, the first time, again, hopefully we'll never need it, but if we do need it, they would have sort of known that how they would get information, because in sort of all of the incidents across the country, getting families sort of timely and accurate information has been sort of critical to the response from everybody. So again, they did a great job today, and Lisa's been with Carrie Burgess have been sort of organizing that for us. So.
And really can't thank our partners in our town. And I would say that when I had the opportunity, because I am from different districts, across the country, that Burlington does an outstanding job. The fact that Captain Hannafin and his crew really have a really strong response team. They work very much hand in hand with the fire folks. So we're very fortunate here. And I would say that the only thing that would just ensure our safety is what Dr. Conti said, which is really that communication piece. Because I can only imagine if I were a parent, I'd want to know immediately. And that's something that we need to figure out how best to do it in a way that will get that information out.
Great, thank you for that update. Those are good to have, to know about. Any other questions? No? Okay, so moving on, Dr. Conti, to the next item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You have in front of you the social media policy for a second reading. This is policy IJNDD. The policy had started when we did our initial policy work. It was a combination of looking at a policy that was shared to us from the Franklin Public Schools. We shared it with our tech staff, who added some language. We spent time with the Joint Labor Management going back through the policy. So teachers have seen this. We worked with some Unit D folks. The policy subcommittee has been looking at it. And more recently, after the first reading, Darren Klein, our labor attorney, has looked at it and added some language. So what you're seeing is sort of the combination of many people. I know you just got it tonight, but I know this is a second reading, but I'm sort of approaching it like a first reading, because it really doesn't become something that we can implement until we bargain it with our unions. So what I'm asking for is, if you need more time, we can certainly put off the second reading until the first meeting in March if you need more time, because again, we just incorporated Darren's changes today. But if it's something that you can adopt, if you're comfortable adopting it this evening, it's still something that we need to take some time with to have the unions sort of incorporate it as a change in working conditions. So again, what I'm trying to say is your vote tonight isn't going to be an immediate implementation. It's still going to require some time, but I would also completely understand if you need time to sort of read through some of the language that Darren had added. I can provide a redlined version if that would be helpful, but that's what the subcommittee worked through today. And again, in any case, we're gonna, once you approve the policy, I'd like to take it back to the unions for their consideration.
So I would just add that if you did have a chance to see the red line version earlier, the things that we did today were to just change, add personal to the term social media when it was specifically for personal social media, and we we changed the idea of work time to instructional time in a couple of places, and then we made a couple of edits for grammar, I think. The will of the committee, would people like to vote on it tonight, or just look at it, or have a chance to look at it some more? What would people like to do? I can vote. Yeah.
Quick
Okay.
question, Madam Chair.
Yes,
So,
Mr. Brooks.
other than the red line change we've already seen, it was just the personnel and a few grammar edits?
Yes.
Okay. I'm happy to vote tonight then.
Yeah, I agree. I saw the red line too, so.
Okay.
So what's the motion?
All right. So
I move that we adopt,
social media policy.
yeah, the Burlington Public Schools social media policy, IJNDD,
As presented tonight.
as presented tonight, the latest draft, which is what we have here tonight.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The chair votes aye. That's 400.
Lucky there's four of us here.
And so if the union has questions, of course, we will consider whatever their concerns are. So thank you. And Dr. Conti, you can continue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the agenda item, we're moving down into facilities and finance, and we're looking at capital warrant articles. And again, I would just want to take a brief step back, because we did change our budgeting process a couple years ago after feedback that we got to capital warrant articles too late in the process. So we introduced our capital warrant articles much earlier, but one of the consequences of introducing our capital warrant articles early is that we don't have as much detailed information as we would introducing them late. So we're not asking you to vote tonight. I'm going to say that again. We're not asking you to vote tonight, even though it says discussion and vote. We are not voting tonight. But what we have presented is you had an initial list a couple weeks ago. We prioritized that list. We, being the staff, prioritized that list for you. You have a prioritized list. If you want to comment on the priority, we can certainly get your feedback on that. Bob, you've been working to make sure that the quotes that you're receiving for these projects are getting you're getting more and more feedback from vendors in terms of fine-tuning the estimates. We've also, since that time, Mr. Warren got a estimate from the town in terms of, again, we started this process so early, we didn't even know how much money we had to spend, so we sort of have a guideline now for us to work under. And so that's been included. So, Bob, you want to sort of just give a brief update as to where we are? And again, this is for discussion purposes. And we have backup to all of this. And Bob, you will be presenting town meeting and capital budget with the forms the town has been using for prior years. So we're taking, again, all the information, and we'll be getting that to you. Bob, when do you need a vote by? Because you said we have a 45 days before the warrant for town meeting needs to be completed. So that's the end of March, is that correct?
End of March for a finalized vote. Though I do have some interest to get onto capital budgets schedule sooner than later.
Right.
So I don't need a vote for that, but at the same time, we need to know at some point where the committee feels on certain ones in order to move forward with capital budget. So again, I'd like to spend some time tonight. If there's any ones in particular that you'd like me to focus on, but also if there's questions or anything that you want to discuss further, I really need to get a sense of, as Dr. Conti mentioned, what the committee is interested in supporting, ones that they have questions on, and ones, of course, like I said, that I will support for more details by next meeting. I do have all of the documents and cover sheets that the town is requesting and has used for town meeting, so I will provide all of those. And again, I want to stress that these are in draft form right now, and the reason that I'm stressing that is that as we work with these vendors, a lot of vendors are really hesitant to give a final one that's really potentially going to be looked at for purchase or project moving forward until maybe August at the earliest, right? So again, I'm getting some placeholder numbers right now, but I really need vendors to commit to me. So with that being said, Nicole Kosher, myself, Mr. Denizio, we're considering some contingency numbers that we may need to carry. So what you're seeing right now is the quoted prices, but doesn't have the contingency, and we don't really have, I don't want to say a full commitment from the vendors, because we have a quote. I just can't tell you what it will look like 8 months from now or 6 months from now. So that's the tricky part. In years past, it was a lot easier for me to get quotes from a vendor and let them know that we weren't looking to purchase this or move forward until June, July, August, and vendors were fine with that. Now, the market doesn't support that. Materials, supplies, vendors, workers aren't in place, and some of them are either booked up or can't get materials for 3 months. I mean, so the market is just different. With that being said, priorities have been organized in the way that we feel is the order they should be in. Again, without any full commitment from the committee, what you're seeing right now gives us our full allotment under the town's allotment. So that being said, that we do have some flexibility in there to move. Also, knowing that the contingencies are not built in yet, the town is okay with that. Again, not saying that it's approved, the town is okay knowing that this number is going to be changing because we're having these conversations. What capital budget has seen is exactly what you all have seen, is this document, and they don't have a final number yet either. So, again, at the discretion of the committee, you know, if you want to spend some time and you want me to go through one by one, or if you want to take the lead and tell me which projects you'd want to focus on.
Why don't we see what people have questions about right now, since we don't have a lot of the backup right in front of us? So, Mr. Brooks, you want to start?
So just a quick question here. So we talked about market volatility and, you know, the AC funding project, the vehicle, or excuse me, the forklift, the vehicle, and a few of those are going to be some of the most volatile markets. Are we putting a larger reserve on that? Or are we just spreading the reserve across the entire, you know, set of warrant articles here? Are we adding reserve by line? Or are we just keeping a reserve for the entire 20 that are up there?
That's a great question. So we're looking at certain ones with a higher volatility, as you mentioned. We may not see that the forklift is one, given the conversations that we're having with the vendor. So on that one, I'm not really looking to carry a high contingency plan on that. Something like the AC as well. Given the conversations that we've had with our in-house vendor now, that one will have a contingency, but a smaller one. So we don't see that one to be extreme either. Retube boilers, again, small district, security, small. When I say small, we could be anywhere in the 3 to 7%, a larger maybe somewhere in the 10 to 12%. But again, I don't see a lot as being extremely volatile. So I think you'll be more in that comfortably 6 to 10%.
Yeah, so again, it's just getting them to commit to hold the price, but I want to make sure that I address a point that you made. It would be very efficient if we could put a contingency across all the projects, but because each of these projects operates almost as a separate revolving account, every contingency has to be dedicated to that line, because we can only spend funding for the Fox Hill cafeteria tables on the Fox Hill cafeteria table. So every line has to have its own.
Yeah, acknowledge
Totally
all. I
see.
guess we were just saying last time we were talking about, there was about 2.5 and we were at 2.25. So we already had some built-in reserve there. And how are
Right.
we using that reserve?
It would be
by
great.
line,
It would be great if we could say,
Yeah.
boy, we need the reserve, and then have us apply it across. But it just doesn't. It doesn't
Yeah.
work that way. So that's too bad. But I think it would be it'd be better. But that's according to me.
Mr. Brooks, did you have any other questions? Not right now? Ms.
Um,
Bond? Okay, Ms. Monaco? So I was wondering, when we get more backup, and we'll get more backup, and this is something that I think has improved in the last couple of years, where, you know, Mr. Cunha, you've always been good about getting all those forms and numbers out, but I think what people are looking for is, so why do we need this? And, you know, not just it's as a safety hazard, but what's the safety hazard, that kind of thing. So as you go forward, I think we'd like to see that as well. You know, and things like the Fox Hill cafeteria tables are those things where we could plan that whatever is purchased could also be used in the new building when we get that. So I'm hoping that we can have that conversation as you get more information. And I want to thank you, because I do know that a couple of years ago you switched over to start using the town meeting forms. And I think that can be helpful for us as well. We can get that information and, you know, to get as much as we can. And certainly, I think we all understand that market is different than it was before COVID. So thank you for your persistence and being aware that we need contingency funds for that kind of thing. Okay? Ms. Monaco.
Bob, about the cafeteria tables, when you're doing an SBA project, all of that will be covered, right? Reimbursement will cover some furniture in the cafeteria. So buying these now means that we would have them to use in other buildings when we need them. That's how I've been thinking of it. Is that correct?
If I could explain it a little bit different as my understanding.
Sure.
So we will have an allotment for FF&E, so for fixtures, furniture, and et cetera, but that's not the E. That being said, if we decide that we want to spend 20% over here, and then we would have less over this category, that's something that we can discuss as a committee. As far as buying these now, could we get reimbursed through MSBA? I can't guarantee that. Could they be used in the new building? Of course.
Maybe.
Could we use them in other school buildings? Yes. So we have no desire, if we are to get these cafeteria tables, to use them for 3 years and then discard them.
No.
So they would not be part of the destruction of the current Fox Hill if we were to proceed with the new building. They would clearly get used in the 5 other cafeterias that we have. The model that we're looking to purchase would resemble the same exact ones that we have in the other 5 cafeterias. And those are going to be wearing and tearing over the next few years anyway, so I think there's an opportunity for us to reuse them.
Okay. I have another question. What's the situation with the music room flooring? I know we talked about it already, but can you just go over it again?
Yep. The quick answer is that the floors right now, because they're recessed and stepped down, they have a short platform area, and they don't provide any accessibility down to the bottom floor. So it's become very apparent in the classroom that they would like a different structure in order to be able to teach their classes differently. It impacts how they set up their classroom, what chairs, what furniture, what music they can use, where the teacher is, and where the students can access. So this request has been coming up a lot. And obviously with the conversations for the high school renovation and so forth, a simple answer is to say, we'll address it later, we'll address it later. But the needs are here, and always looking for new ways to address those needs.
And Bob, I thought this was through the chair, I'm sorry, I thought
Yeah.
this was a creative solution because it potentially could be temporary and extended. So the first solution we had was to basically fill in the seats with a lot of concrete that was very expensive. I think it was $450,000.
Correct.
This is it temporary staging that can be reused as staging, if not to fill in the recessed areas of the classroom? Is that my understanding?
Yep. Perfect understanding. So by design, they are temporary, but what happens is that they're configurable for height. So because of the platform differences, we can configure the platforms at different heights to create an even uniform surface across the top layer. They also interlock into each other. So what happens is that you have a flat surface. The layer on top is also soundproof to an extent, and then has some absorbing capabilities for sound and heat as well. In the event that we no longer need them in that building, or even if we needed them temporarily, we could actually move them in different locations. So they're typically about 4 by 8 feet, and then because there are some curves in the front, those ones will obviously be a different shape. But as you see risers in a simple form in some of our auditoriums already, it's that same concept. These ones are obviously designed to be a little bit more sturdy, just because they have a little bit more permanent intent to them, but they clearly can be moved and repurposed for other needs moving forward.
Can you imagine another place in the district that you might use them?
Other auditoriums. That would be the first place for them. We could use them in the gym areas for staging, seating, for any performances. We can use them, let's say when we do our Veterans Assembly, we bring staging down into the gym for graduation at the high school, staging there. Rec department has borrowed our staging before for Truck Day, Burlington Day. So there's plenty of places throughout the town and schools that would use these. Obviously
Seems
not
like
while
a
they're in
lot of
place,
money.
in the music room. But again, for future purposes, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Dr. Conti, did you want to add to that?
No, I thought it actually looked pretty good compared to the $450,000 of concrete that we were going to
Yeah.
consider. So I thought this was a much more creative and flexible solution.
That was my comment, because it would be, I'm really impressed with the creative thinking going behind. I don't know if it came out of your head, Mr. Bob, or if you got ideas from other people, but it is still a lot of money, no question, but it sounds like something that would address an accessibility issue right now, which is something that, we know that this building is not handicap accessible, and this would help with one area. And with 2 areas.
2 areas.
Two-
This
oh,
this
the
is 2
chorus-
full classrooms,
The
yes, in the
chorus
music.
and the band room, okay.
Correct.
And as you, I mean, you're telling us these can be repurposed, and it sounds like there are other ways we could use these. So I'm really pleased that this has been an idea that's come to the forward, and I hope that we'll be able to support it. Mr. Brooks?
Just one follow-up question for the music room again. So you said we could repurpose it, we can move it. You said they were also kind of semi-permanent. So are they designed to be a semi-permanent fixture, robust enough, strong enough that they're not going to break? And then are they also designed to be taken and, put up and torn down multiple times too? I'm just trying to understand, the construction of them, just what we're kind of getting ourselves into.
Yep. I was going to try to log in quickly and show you all a picture. So again, even when you look at our staging right now that we have in temporary sections, it's a metal frame that has adjustable legs on it. And what we currently have is round tubing. This would move to a square tubing and more of a, when I say semi-permanent, it's not really designed to be lightly quarter turn one screw and then adjust the feet. These have pegs that go through them. They get locked into place. So again, they have more of a semi-permanent structure in that way. Because they're square tubing, they are a little bit heavier, right? And they're not really designed to fold. So again, could they be reused? 100%. Are these the most flexible ones that we stand up in the corner? No. So these would be something that after their useful life at the high school, right? And if we wanted to move them out into the stage, we would place them down either out front or place them onto the stage area or into the gym. And then we would use them in more of a sturdy structure as opposed to, again, put them in a closet and move them away. So,
So for me, I,
The backup in the future, we can show.
yeah.
yep.
So this is a good example of why we wanted to get more backup before we have a lot more conversation. And, for me, it's also, I mean, we're talking about using this as a classroom floor. So again, how sturdy are they? And that, even we don't plan to repurpose them, what if we keep the music room with the new building or whatever? So I think this just shows that we would like to have, as you collect it, the backup material would be really helpful.
No, I have it. Yeah.
Okay, any further questions on this? No, seeing none. Dr. Conti?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Moving on to the Fox Hill School Building Committee update. We had a meeting last night. I'm losing track of the nights, but yes, last night. And we discussed a meeting that had happened earlier on Monday, which was to talk about the traffic flow on the site. We work with Safe Routes to Schools. Ms. Crocker attended the meeting, and you all got the summary as well. So she worked with the designer and the traffic engineer and the landscape designers to sort of give her feedback on the drop-off and pickup areas. Danisco is taking all the feedback from that day and then from the school building committee last night, and they're going to be making some adjustments moving forward. We're hoping that we will be concluding the feasibility sort of phase and going to schematic design with a successful MSBA board vote tomorrow morning. So Danisco, Burlington is on the agenda, I think, starting at 10 a.m. And then the board will be taking a vote to allow the project to move towards schematic design. And that's when the sort of things really start to take shape. And I think the plans are certainly evolving that people have saw, that people viewed, and then we can start moving forward. And then as we move forward and get more specific, then Mr. Moore and the prices and costs become much more firm, and that's really when talking about how the project needs to be supported in town. If we're to gain access to state funding for the project, then we have certain deadlines that we need to hit as well. So I'm sure capital budget, ways and means, the select board will all start to be involved. My belief now is because we need another MSBA vote, board vote at the end of June, we will not be presenting the Fox Hill School to town meeting for May's town meeting. So I believe that when we will be presenting the Fox Hill project, if all goes well, to town meeting will be at the September town meeting. So that's sort of my understanding. But again, an important vote tomorrow morning from the MSBA board, and then a lot of work from them to really fine-tune the design.
Okay, any comments? Mr. Brooks?
Just one, Madam Chair. Dr. Conti, jogged my memory. I spoke with Recreation Commissioner Brendan Egan. We're coordinating to get Donna Disco and Dorn Whittier to the next recreation meeting on the 4th. So I'll just kind of send you guys an email, let you know that when everything's firmed.
Thank you, that would be great.
All right, seeing no other comments, next topic, Dr. Conti?
The high school building committee, and obviously, Ms. Bond, you're the chair, so you can jump in or correct me. We have, I know that we had selected a designer, Tape, and that Nicole, in my conversations with her this week, she has successfully negotiated a contract with Tape, so we officially have a designer on board, and that means for me and my staff, the program document now is going to start getting in full swing. So we'll start putting that together. We have pieces of it, but we'll start putting it together, and then make sure the committee sees any draft documents that we have. And it's just obviously important that the program document be as complete as you would all like, so that the building can reflect the program. And it's not just high school programming. It may include integrated preschool. It may include other community programs that currently exist in the high school. So I think the program document, from my perspective, in a very self-important way, is a critical foundation from which to begin the design process.
All right, Ms. Bond?
Yep, the only other thing I wanted to add is, as of today, the website is up and live. It's bhsbuildingproject.com. I do want to figure out how we can get that on the high school website so people can connect to it and just follow the project as we add things to it. So if you get a chance, you can go check it out. But it did go live today.
That's good news. Actually, so is having the contract with Tape. Good news on this project. Other comments or updates or questions?
Did you mention when the next meeting was? Okay. So the next meeting is March 14th at 6:30.
All right. Any further questions or comments? No. Next topic, Dr. Conti, Pine Glen.
Again, we have the Pine Glen is a standing agenda item. I think I'm going to be repeating myself, but we did do a very brief introductory announcement at January town meeting as requested, where we informed town meeting to expect a second warrant on completing the Pine Glen air conditioning project. Bob, that is our #1 priority, given the list that you had put up for capital warrants. And again, the reason that this is the price that you mentioned is firm is because we've actually done an RFP for HVAC services, and we've hired a company who is now under our contract, and this company will be doing the Pine Glen installation if approved by town meeting. Is that?
That is all correct, yes.
So again, whereas I think 3 years ago, we did not have a firm under contract.
True. So previously, we had just gone out for an RFP as a standalone job, and that's when we got prices back that well above exceeded our request from the original town meeting request. So now that we have an RFP out, we have a contract vendor. I said that wrong. We have a vendor on contract that we are currently using for this year. It's a 3-year contract, and that vendor, so again, the vendor is trained. That vendor has provided us with their labor, their materials, their markups, their quotes, their expectation for materials and supplies as far as the timeline for it. And so we're confident that this number, again, plus or minus some contingency in there, is definitely doable to complete the job.
All right,
Ma-
Dr.
Madam Chair,
Conti?
Bob, will it be a train system?
It will, so it can be, so they're actually quoting us on two for the same exact price. So we're looking at, I don't know if I want to say the words out loud, but a particular brand that's very favorable in the mini split market. And then there's also a train solution as well, too.
Okay, so we'll have some choices there.
Yes.
Okay.
And if I could add for people who, like me, who are kind of new to all this language, Train is the name of a company. It's not going to be a choo-choo train. And so we have two companies, one of whom is called Train, that is being, you have one vendor who's going to do the work, one company that's going to do the work, but they're considering two different systems, but from two different companies, and one of those companies is called Train. So that's why, if anyone's confused, because I used to get confused by that. So thank you.
And again, just highlighting that Pine Glen is our first priority is, I think also Ms. Monaco and Ms. Simon would say that the teachers were very interested in classroom environments in terms of teaching quality, and so the heat and cooling of classrooms was something that was very important to teachers that came up. I think they're accepting that the Fox Hill solution may take a little longer, but it's certainly in process, and I think they would certainly welcome the air conditioning of Pine Glen classrooms as a priority of the committee. So just to stress that, you all will have the vote coming up, but I think it is fitting that this project be first as our first priority.
Yes, Ms. Monaco?
Bob, can the air conditioning be installed like right away after town meeting votes the money?
I just had to think about that for a quick second. So what we're able to do, because we have some funding, typically what happens is when we get money from a request from town meeting, the money's not available till July 1. So once town meeting, if they do support this article,
I know
then
where
we
you're
can
going.
commit earlier too.
You've
So,
already got some, you can start it right
Yes.
away, I get it.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is executive session, which we do not have a need for tonight. So there's no more items on the agenda. Is there any other business to come before the body tonight? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? And the chair votes aye. We are now adjourned. Thank you. Is that a record? 8:08? We didn't even start till 7:05.
Wow.
We didn't start till 7:05. I think that's a record.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it for you.